is the beginning of the next expansion.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just so sad that BlizzCon is over.
Yeah, me too.
Well, anyway, welcome to the weekly reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show, bringing you all of the latest WoW news and knowledge because... Taliesin, do you know when we went to BlizzCon for a week?
Yeah, no, I think I remember that, yeah.
Did you remember to leave food for Khadgar?
I thought you were leaving food for Khadgar.
Let's get on with the show.
There is some pretty interesting stuff going on in-game at the moment, and we will get to that, I promise. But our main story this week has to be BlizzCon happened. I mean, you probably didn't know that BlizzCon happened. It's a pretty low-key kind of affair. But this is our news show, and it is our whole purpose to bring you the inside scoop on stuff like this. So yeah, BlizzCon happened. And even though you probably didn't notice that, there were clues if you knew where to look and if you dug deep enough. Clue 1, we're both super ill, because apparently attending BlizzCon fills you with hype and warm feelings, but also snot. So much snot. Sorry for that in advance. Clue 2, YouTube went into overdrive, pouncing on every announcement and reveal like feeding time at the zoo of YouTube. And of course, there was no harder worker on the production line than our hero and friend of the channel, Bellular. Sorry man, you knew this was coming. Sometimes we like to joke about Bell on this channel and over-exaggerate his work ethic for comedic effect, but there is no reason to over-exaggerate here because over the course of the weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Bellular released 10 videos. That's literally more videos made and published than I had actual meals over those 3 days. And I did not skip a meal. I never skip a meal, mate. What do you think I am? Bellular released so many videos on every conceivable topic or talking point that at one point, and again, this is not actually a joke, he genuinely ran out of World of Warcraft art assets that he could use, so he essentially put the same thumbnail on 3 different videos. He used up all of the art in WoW. And this is all brilliant, and the man is clearly a machine, and I don't want to alarm anyone, but after a burst of intense output like that, it can only mean one thing. It's time for Bellular to feed again. Lock your doors, people, close your blinds, and if you hear a cheeky, light Irish knocking at the door in the middle of the night, don't answer it. Be silent, be still, pray that some more WoW news drops and he'll have to make another video and you will be safe for now. But in fairness, there was so much news to cover and so much to get excited about. First of all, the announcement of WoW Classic, a genuine Blizzard-run World of Warcraft vanilla server. Something I thought that we would genuinely never see, and it is going to happen at some point. Sometime, eventually, totally, it is going to happen. We have next to no details about this at the moment. The programmers who will make it haven't even been hired yet. Of course, there is no release date, although if I had to make a prediction, and you know I hate making predictions, I'd probably guess sometime in the week around November the 23rd, 2019, just as we're getting to the 1-year slump of the new expansion, and by the way, Vanilla's 15th birthday. That's what I would guess, it's just a guess. Of all of the announcements over the whole of BlizzCon, this one is probably the one that's generated the most buzz. So I just want to say, before we go on to what I consider to be the big WoW news, well done guys. Those of you who fought for this and weren't dicks about it, you did it. You totally deserve to be proud of yourselves, and soon, TM, you'll have the most accurate Blizz-like server possible to play on. Or will you? Because yes, WoW Classic has already dominated the forums, but perhaps surprisingly, a lot of the talk so far has been about what changes will be made to the original game. From graphical updates to the addition of functions that were added later than vanilla, all things which in my opinion don't belong on a pristine vanilla server. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really pleased that it's happening, even though if I'm totally being honest, if Battle for Azeroth is as good as Legion, I can't really see myself playing it too much. Oh yeah, because Battle of Azeroth is the new World of Warcraft expansion, also revealed at BlizzCon, also in the opening ceremony, and accompanied by both a gameplay trailer and the opening cinematic, both of which are glorious in ways that we've covered in depth on this channel already. But the quick version is, Bondage Jaina is totally a thing now, and thank you Blizzard for that. Thank you more than you'll ever know. Humans can be bears now. Horde and Alliance don't like each other still. We don't get our own boats, but there are lots of boats. There are 6 new playable races. There's Azshara. Level scaling is a thing over the whole of Azeroth. Heart of Azeroth is a thing. It's a suspiciously artifact weapon shaped thing, but it's totally not an artifact weapon, but we can bore you with that some other time. Sylvanas is still one of the most badass characters of all time. Anduin tried tanking, but it made him cry, so he's a healer again now. Oh, and he is awesome. We need a CGI Blizzard Warcraft movie, like now seriously, make it happen, and Warfronts, whatever they are. So, plenty to be getting our heads around, basically. And don't worry, because we're not going to deep dive it here, but I know you, internet. I know you've got some pretty important questions about all of this, which we are going to try and answer for you now. Don't worry, guys. Evitel's got you covered.
So, I think we can all agree that by far the most important question of all is, what do we call it? Battle for Azeroth is the actual name of the expansion, obviously, but at 6 syllables it is the joint longest expansion title along with Mists of Pandaria, so we're going to need an abbreviation, and so far the player base is stumped. Some have suggested BFA, but BFA doesn't sound like a cool fantasy video game. It sounds like a degree that isn't going to get you a job. Some have suggested Baz, but Baz doesn't sound like a kick-ass seafaring adventure. Baz sounds like the milkman in a 1970s English knockabout comedy. Some have suggested Basil, but honestly, I think those people are just taking the piss. After deliberating long and hard on the subject, we've decided on Battle. And when I wish to shorten the name over the coming years, Battle is the name I will use. It doesn't sound all that great, I admit, but it's the best option we've got. And it's what Ian says, so it's good enough for me. By the way, did I mention we totally met Ian at BlizzCon? Yeah, we totally met Ian at BlizzCon. It's not relevant or anything, I just wanted you to know. And of all the opinions about Battle, I'll get used to it, I'm sure. There's a few things that the community is especially excited about, like Warfronts. No, only joking. I literally have no idea what they are, still. Sorry. The 6 new playable allied races and the new universal level scaling are both examples of things that are really easy to get hyped about, even if level scaling isn't technically a battle thing, as it'll be arriving in-game probably a good year before the expansion itself does, which is great. Having each old world zone scaled within a much wider range than they allow for now should not only go a long way towards fixing WoW's pretty abysmal early leveling experience, but also means, after all this time, finally, it may just be possible to level from 1 to 60 by only killing boars in Elwyn Forest. I cannot at this stage confirm whether it will take exactly 65,340,285 boars to do so, but I can't deny it either.
There was a bit of grief on the forums when it turned out that the new Alliance allied race Void Elves would be a splinter group of banished Blood Elves rather than the long-awaited High Elves that the player base had their hearts set on. Another section of the player base seemed a little bit underwhelmed with the entire expansion announcement and could probably do with a big bad reveal to hook them in sooner rather than later. We cover that in a video as well. And there does seem to be a definite label that Battle has already been given from lots of people that this is somehow a PvP focused expansion. And this is what I want to talk about quickly here, because it's really easy to see why people might think that. As just mentioned, Battle currently does not have a big bad that we know about. There has been no reveal of an overarching universal threat. There undoubtedly is one, and we could all probably take a fairly decent guess at what it might be. But Blizzard haven't actually given us anything yet, which means at the beginning at least, the main drive of the story will come from a renewed focus on the hostilities between Horde and Alliance. And that's really cool. It allowed us a classic cinematic. It gave us a burning Teldrassil and a besieged Lordaeron. It gives us 2 separate leveling continents where our main motivation is to win allies and bolster our ranks against the opposing faction. It gives us island scenarios and war fronts where the objective is to beat the other faction. It also gives us a new approach to world PvP with the PvP toggle. So it's a PvP expansion, right? Well, no. For better or for worse, no. Let's get one thing straight. Battle for Azeroth is not a PvP expansion. To label it as one is not just doing it a disservice, but is completely inaccurate. Yes, the story itself may be based around Alliance versus Horde, choose your side, represent your faction, but the actual amount of PvP content here is actually pretty slim. Warfronts, for example, feel like they should be a massive PvP thing. You get together in a team of 20 on a map, gather resources, build structures and forces before the other team manage the same, and take them down. It's purposely designed to be suggestive of multiplayer Warcraft 3 games, but the thing is, it's completely PvE. There's no player versus player element to it at all. It's more like a raid, but instead of taking out a boss, you're playing against a team of NPC enemies trying to do the same as you. And the island invasions, they have a PvP option, sure, but Blizz is clearly paying a lot more attention to the PvE version, bigging up its advanced AI that will power the enemy forces you take on 3 versus 3, although I've got to admit, my hopes are not high for the advanced AI. Let's face it, if Blizzard can't develop NPCs who are capable of cooking a steak without totally incinerating it, then I suspect the finer points of tactical guerrilla warfare might just be beyond it somehow. I think think one of the main reasons people are calling Battle a PvP expansion is because of its most misinterpreted new system. The PvP toggle. Basically, servers will no longer be labelled as PvE or PvP specific, and instead every single character will have a switch that they can flick in rest areas to decide whether or not they wish to be flagged for PvP. If you are flagged for PvP, you will only be phased with players who are also tagged for PvP. So it'll be the same as being on a PvP server. If you are unflagged for PvP, then you'll only be phased with other players who are also unflagged, and it'll be like playing on a PvE server. And it really is that simple. The players you're sharded with will often be from other realms, which has been a thing for ages in WoW, so there'll be no shortage of other players whichever choice you make. And it'll also mean that those big faction biases that you see on most servers won't exist either, because the phasing will even out the populations. To me, at least, it seems like a decent idea, and actually quite an elegant fix to a number of different issues all at once. Not everyone agrees, obviously, because, you know, it's a potentially touchy subject, and I get that. So it was really heartening for me when I went to the forums and saw the level of informed, reasoned debate that was taking place there. After all, we might fight each other in game, but when it comes down to it, we all share the same passion. We all have the same... No, it was a shit show, obviously. The whole X-Pack has been ruined! They can take their decision and stick it to Bahar. A total clown fest. I've never seen a more incompetent designer, and a more stubborn one for that matter. This guy should just be fired already. RIP PvP, RIP fun, RIP World of WoW. Okay, look, this might turn out to be a terrible idea from Blizzard. It might indeed turn out to be the final nail of the PvP coffin. I can only give my opinion, but my opinion is this. I currently play on a PvE server. I barely do any PvP at all, but Legion has done a really good job of gently pushing me into it. I had to win 10 rated battlegrounds to get an artifact recolor, and I really enjoyed that. I've really had fun in the prestige world quests fighting other players, and I admit have occasionally hung around the opposing PvP towers on occasion, killing unsuspecting PvE players when they came near. Let's not dwell on that, let's move on, that's not important. And here's the thing. I'm never going to move to a PvP server, but if I had the option of phasing into one now and then when I felt like it, I would totally do it all the time. This toggle will gain you an additional player for World PvP in me, and that you wouldn't have had before, and I won't be the only one, and I might be wrong, but that's what I think. Obviously we'll be talking more about developments in Battle for Azeroth as they happen from now on, but you know, maybe it's time to talk about something that's happening in game now.
Raid news, and actually it's news about two different raids. The first is that the final raid of Legion, Antorus The Burning Throne, will open for normal and heroic difficulties on November the 28th, 22 weeks after the last raid, bang on schedule, with Mythic and the first wing of LFR opening the week after. This was all confirmed in a blue post after BlizzCon because, of course, there's no mention at all of Antorus or any of the remaining Legion content at BlizzCon at all, which makes this climactic raid feel fairly underhyped right at the moment. And that's a shame because there's plenty of reasons to be excited about raiding Antorus. We're going to be diving deep into the very nerve center of the Burning Legion, taking on its top commanders, most dangerous criminals, and massive doggos. Okay, spoiler or whatever, but we're going to be fighting titans in Antorus, at the seat of the Pantheon. In all likelihood, we're going to be taking on Sargeras himself, and you're more excited about Moose Tauren and your new level 111 Cool Tiras shit sword? Seriously. This isn't just the climax of Legion, but kind of the climax of well over 10 years of storytelling when it comes to Argus, the Draenei, and the Burning Legion, and that's if you don't count Desperate Retcons. If you count Desperate Retcons, it goes on much longer than that. So it really means something, and by all accounts, the boss fights are in pretty good shape too, with the final battle in the Pantheon looking especially epic, as you'd hope. But that's not it for raid news this week, because Ulduar is being added to the Wrath of the Lich King time-walking weeks in the upcoming 7.3.5 patch. Just like with the Black Temple version, you and your party will scale down to an appropriate item level and yet still be weirdly overpowered to take on what is generally considered to be the greatest raid in the history of the game. Also confirmed is that the time-walking raid will retain its in-fight switches to activate hard mode, which in the case of Mimiron is an actual switch. Who needs menus to select raid difficulty when you can have a temptingly massive red button instead? Excited yet? I don't want to kill anyone's buzz here or anything, but it's probably worth pointing out at this point that the next Wrath time-walking event is planned for the middle of February 2018. But you can stay excited till then, right?
So, BlizzCon, we're back from BlizzCon, we're alive, the plane didn't explode.
Only just.
Which is always good. Yeah, well actually this is the thing, I feel like, because we've been back for over a week now. No,
Yeah.
not quite over a week, but we've been back for almost a week.
Yeah, almost
It doesn't
a week.
feel like we've been back very long.
No.
I feel like I'm still kind of there.
No,
I feel like I
yeah.
left my health there, perhaps.
We definitely did, and I've read about this. I've heard it described as like con plague, con flu, or con crud, which creeps me out a little bit too much. So I'm going to stick with con flu, because that suggests that we can recover, unlike the plague.
We also came back with loads of cool gear as well, didn't we?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like, we've got our new, I don't know if you've noticed this, our new Jaina poster.
She looks so amazing. You can't see her head.
She's so shiny.
She looks so good.
Oh, she's so great. So she's going to be taking Illidan's place from now on.
She is.
Because I'm officially hype about...
Officially
hype about Battle BlizzCon. We're not going to talk too much about BlizzCon now, obviously. But the biggest shout out to everyone who said hello to us while we were there. Because like it was like this constant stream of people just saying hi and hugs and high fives and photos. If you came to the meet and greet the night before, awesome. If you met us just wandering around, awesome, thank you. We had an amazing time.
It was so incredible, and I've been trying to explain this experience to people just like in life, like IRL or at work, and they're like, so...
They don't believe us.
No, they don't. They're like, so people would come up to you and like recognize you? It's like, yes, it was so incredible, and we love meeting all of you guys, and like, I would do it 1,000,000 times over because it was so much fun.
Yeah. But the fun didn't end there, because if we weren't feeling awesome enough about that, when we got home and fell asleep for 3 days, what would arrive on Friday afternoon? But this, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know, is our silver play button, which means it's like the award that you get for... It's not an award, it's just like a cool little thing.
It's a cool little thing.
That you get for getting 100,000 subscribers.
Which is
on,
pretty
on
incredible.
the old YouTube, which we've got, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
we're past that.
This took about 2
but
months to come, which is
it
pretty
came.
cool.
Yeah, it came.
But it's here now, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and it
it's really
looks amazing.
shiny.
We've already shared this with our patrons, obviously, but we'll put it on this one as well. And it's just really beautiful. And we have dreamed about getting this since we started the channel. Because when you start a channel, obviously you've got no subs and stuff, and you think of this like silver play button as being this epic like sign that you've made it. And you think that if you've got a silver play button, you're probably like a millionaire.
Pretty much.
And you're doing
Driving
really
in your
well.
cars.
Helicopter. Oh yeah, car. I meant cars. Yeah. And it's obviously we're not doing any of those things, but it is really cool.
It is so cool.
It's down to you, dudes. So thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. If you did enjoy this episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to help this channel happen. If you didn't enjoy it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Sharku.
What?
It's not.
You look nothing like Sharku.
No,
we met him.
I know. Sharku is a beautiful Adonis of a man, and I could never pass for him. We all know that. Thank you. I'm not Sharku.
No.
My name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And from both of us, until next time, cheerio.